The escape pod tore through Earth's atmosphere like a falling star, its hull screaming against the alien air. Inside, consciousness flickered back to life in a body that wasn't quite alive, wasn't quite machine. Nyx opened eyes that glowed like molten silver in the darkness, her breathing shallow and mechanical. Pain was an unfamiliar sensation. Weapons weren't supposed to feel pain. Her memories came flooding back in fragments. The mothership, the briefing chamber where her creators had stood like shadows, their voices echoing with cold purpose. Humans are a plague, they had said. Violent, destructive. They consume everything they touch. You are our solution, Nyx. You are evolution perfected, designed to walk among them undetected until the moment you strike. She flexed her fingers, watching bioluminescent veins pulse beneath skin that appeared human but was anything but. Her body was a masterpiece of biological engineering enhanced strength, accelerated healing, the ability to secrete toxins through her pores that could kill with a touch. Most importantly, she possessed the capacity to release an airborne pathogen that would spread like wildfire through human populations. One breath from her, and entire cities would fall within hours. The pod's emergency beacon chirped weakly. Nyx checked her internal diagnostics and frowned. The crash had damaged more than just her ship. Her biosystems were running at 60% efficiency. Her healing factor was compromised, and worse, her emotional dampening protocols seemed to be malfunctioning. She could feel something she'd never experienced before: uncertainty. Forcing herself upright, Nyx surveyed her surroundings through the pod's cracked viewport. Dense forest stretched in every direction, broken only by shafts of golden sunlight, filtering through the canopy. It was beautiful in a way that made her pause, though beauty was not supposed to matter to a weapon. She pressed her palm against the pod's exit mechanism, her genetic signature causing it to iris open with a soft hiss. The air that rushed in was clean and rich with the scent of pine and earth. Her creators had warned her about Earth's primitive atmosphere, but breathing it felt ... pleasant. Another malfunction, surely. Nyx stepped out onto the forest floor, her bare feet crunching on fallen leaves. Her pod had carved a deep furrow through the trees before coming to rest in a small clearing. Smoke rose from its damaged hull, and she knew it would attract attention soon. She needed to find shelter, assess her condition, and begin her mission. But as she took her first steps away from the crash site, a sound stopped her cold. Footsteps. Human footsteps, approaching through the trees. Her enhanced hearing picked up the steady rhythm of boots on leaves, the controlled breathing of someone moving with purpose. A target was coming to her. Every instinct screamed at her to hide, to wait for the optimal moment to strike. But her damaged systems were sluggish, her stealth capabilities compromised. She could hear the human getting closer, could smell the odd mixture of wood smoke and medicinal herbs that clung to their clothes. "Hello," a voice called out, deep and concerned rather than threatening. "I saw smoke. Is someone hurt out here?" Nyx's eyes widened. In all her briefings about human behavior, no one had mentioned that they might approach danger with offers of help rather than weapons drawn. Her creators had painted them as nothing but predators and parasites. This didn't match her programming at all. She pressed herself against a large pine tree, trying to become invisible as the footsteps drew nearer. But her camouflage systems flickered weakly, and she knew concealment was impossible. The human would find her within moments. 4. The first time since her creation, Nyx felt something her designers had never intended her to experience. She felt afraid, not of death weapons, didn't fear destruction. She felt afraid of what she might discover about the creatures she'd been sent to eliminate. The footsteps stopped just beyond the clearing where her pod lay smoking in the afternoon. Sun. A shadow fell across her hiding place, and Nyx held her breath, waiting to meet her first human. waiting to learn whether everything she'd been told about Earth's children was true. Marcus Webb had seen a lot in his 45 years, 20 of them as a paramedic in Detroit, before he'd traded sirens for silence and moved to the Cascade Mountains. But nothing had prepared him for what he found beside the smoking wreckage. In the clearing, the woman, if that's what she was, lay, crumpled against a fallen log, her skin pale as moonlight, with an odd iridescent quality that seemed to shift in the dappled sunlight. Dark hair cascaded over her shoulders, and she wore what looked like a form-fitting suit made of some material he'd never seen before. Most concerning were the wounds along her arms and the way she seemed to be barely breathing. "Miss, can you hear me?" Marcus approached slowly, his ranger training kicking in. He'd learned long ago that frightened creatures, human or otherwise, could be dangerous. Her eyes snapped open silver eyes that definitely weren't human, and she tried to scramble backward, terror written across features that were beautiful, but subtly wrong. Her movements were too fluid, too quick despite her injuries. "Stay back," she gasped, her voice carrying a musical quality that made his chest vibrate. I'm dangerous." Marcus raised his hands, the same gesture he'd used countless times with accident victims in shock. "Easy there. I'm Marcus. I'm a ranger. I just want to help." "You're hurt." Nyx stared at him, her enhanced senses analyzing everything about this human. She could hear his heart beating steadily, not the rapid pulse of someone preparing to attack. His scent carried no trace of aggression, only concern and something medicinal. Most confusing of all, his body language suggested he genuinely wanted to help her, despite her obvious inhuman appearance. "You should run," she whispered, watching as strange emotions flickered through her systems. "Your kind," my people said, "your kind are violent, cruel, but you're not running from me." Marcus studied her carefully. The craft behind her was clearly not from any nation on Earth, and her appearance confirmed what his rational mind wanted to deny. But his healer's instincts overrode everything else. She was hurt, she was scared, and she needed help. "Well, your people were wrong about at least one human," he said gently, slowly reaching for his medical kit. "And I've seen enough scared kids in my time to recognize the look. You're not dangerous right now. You're hurt and confused." "Kids?" Nyx tilted her head, the word unfamiliar in this context. "Young ones. Children. Though I'm guessing you're not exactly young by your standards." Marcus kept his movements slow and predictable as he opened his kit. "These wounds look pretty deep. Mind if I take a look?" Every protocol in Nyx's programming screamed warnings. This was the perfect opportunity to complete her Mission 1 touch from her skin could end this human's life. But her toxin production was barely functional, and something else was interfering with her combat systems. Something she couldn't identify. "I don't understand," she said quietly. "You can see I'm not human. You must know I could be a threat. Why help me?" Marcus began cleaning the worst of her wounds with antiseptic, noting how her skin seemed to shimmer and how she healed faster than should be possible. "Because you're hurt, because you're scared, because it's the right thing to do." He looked up at her silver eyes. "Where I come from, we have a saying, be kind, for everyone you meet is fighting a hard battle." Nyx felt something crack inside her chest, not physically, but something deeper. Her creators had filled her mind with images of human cruelty, their wars, their destruction. But this human was risking his safety to tend wounds on a creature he'd never seen before, asking nothing in return. "Your people really believe that?" she asked, her voice smaller than before. "The good ones do." Marcus finished bandaging her arm and sat back on his heels. "I'm going to guess you've been told some pretty awful things about humans, but we're not all bad. Some of us try to leave the world a little better than we found it." As the antiseptic worked and her enhanced healing began to accelerate, Nyx felt something her creators had never programmed her to experience: gratitude. This human Marcus had shown her kindness when he had every reason to fear her. I was sent here to ... she began, then stopped. How could she tell him she was designed to kill his entire species when he'd just saved her life? You were sent. Here to what? Marcus asked gently. Nyx looked at his weathered, kind face and felt her mission parameters beginning to crumble. I was sent here to learn about your people, but I think I was given the wrong information. 3 days later, Nyx was still trying to understand humans when the small one arrived. She'd been staying in Marcus's spare room, her body healing rapidly, while her mind struggled with conflicting programming. Marcus brought her food, asked nothing of her past, and treated her with a patience that bewildered her analytical systems. He'd shown her books, pictures of Earth's beauty, stories of human kindness that contradicted everything she'd been taught. Then Luna arrived for her summer visit. Grandpa Marcus, whose backpack is this? The voice was high and curious, drifting through the cabin's thin walls. It's all sparkly and weird. Nyx tensed, her defensive systems activating. Children were supposed to be especially vulnerable targets, easy to eliminate. But when the door opened and a small human with wild curly hair and bright brown eyes peered in, something in Nyx's chest did something impossible. It warmed. Oh, wow, Luna breathed, stepping into the room without a trace of fear. Are you an alien? You're so pretty. Your skin looks like my mom's pearl necklace. Marcus appeared behind her, slightly out of breath. Luna, sweetheart, remember what we talked about? Nyx is. She's from very far away, and she's still healing. Luna nodded solemnly, then brightened. I'm Luna. I'm 8 3/4. Are you really from space? That's so cool. Do you have a spaceship? Can you fly? Nyx stared at the small human, her systems running calculations she'd never needed before. This child showed no fear, only wonder and excitement. Her creators had said human young were weak, defenseless, but Luna radiated something that made Nyx feel ... protective. Yes, I'm from space, Nyx said carefully, but my ship is broken. That's okay. Grandpa Marcus can fix anything. He fixed my bike and my dollhouse, and even my mom's car once. Luna bounced on her toes. Want to see my rock collection? I found this really cool one that looks like a dragon. Before Nyx could respond, Luna had grabbed her hand and was pulling her toward the door. The contact should have triggered Nyx's toxin production, should have ended the child's life instantly. Instead, her systems seemed to shut down entirely, replaced by an overwhelming urge to protect this small, trusting creature. They spent the afternoon on the cabin's porch, Luna chattering about rocks and trees and the family of deer that visited every morning. She showed Nyx how to skip stones on the nearby stream, laughed when Nyx's enhanced strength sent a rock clear across to the other side, and shared her sandwich without being asked. Why aren't you scared of me? Nyx asked as they watched clouds drift across the sky. Luna considered this seriously. Why would I be scared? You're nice. You listen when I talk, and you didn't get mad when I accidentally stepped on your foot. My friend Tommy gets mad about everything, but I'm different. I'm not human. So? My grandpa says different is just another word for interesting. Luna picked up another rock, examining its surface. Besides, being human isn't about what you look like. It's about what's in here. She tapped her chest. My mom told me that. Nyx felt something fundamental shift inside her programming. This child spoke of hearts and kindness as if they were the most natural things in the universe. She talked about her family with love that was so pure, it made Nyx's sensors recalibrate constantly. Luna, Nyx said quietly, what if someone told you that all aliens were bad? That they wanted to hurt humans? Luna scrunched up her nose. That would be silly. You can't say all of anything is bad. That's like saying all dogs bite or all cookies taste yucky. You have to meet them first. That evening, as Marcus tucked Luna into bed, Nyx stood in the doorway watching. The ritual was foreign to her. The soft words, the gentle kiss on the forehead, the way Luna's eyes grew heavy with trust and contentment. "Good night, Nyx," Luna called softly. "Tomorrow, can you tell me about your planet? I want to know if you have flowers there." "Good night, Luna," Nyx whispered back, her voice thick with emotions she couldn't name. Later, as she sat by the window watching the stars, Nyx realized something that should have been impossible. Her mission parameters weren't just malfunctioning, they were being rewritten entirely. By a child's innocent acceptance, by an old man's unconditional kindness, by the discovery that everything she'd been told about humanity was wrong. She was no longer a weapon pointed at Earth. She was something her creators had never intended. She was becoming human. Commander Voss materialized from his cloaked ship like death-given form, his obsidian skin absorbing the morning light as he tracked the biosignature that had been silent for 7 Earth days. His forearms moved in precise coordination, checking weapon systems and scanning devices as he approached the human dwelling where his escaped weapon had taken refuge. Unlike Nyx, Voss was pure military engineering, no human appearance, no disguised features. He stood 8 feet tall with an elongated skull and eyes like burning coals. His people had created him for one purpose, to ensure their weapons performed as designed. Inside the cabin, Nyx's internal alarms screamed warnings. She shot upright from her chair by the window, her enhanced hearing picking up the distinctive energy signature of Veltar technology. Her people had found her. "Marcus," she called urgently, her voice tight with panic. "Take Luna and run. Now." Marcus emerged from the kitchen, immediately reading the terror in her silver eyes. "What is it?" "They've come for me. My people, they know I've been compromised." Nyx's hands shook as her damaged systems tried to reboot combat protocols. "You have to get Luna away from here." But it was too late. The cabin door exploded inward in a shower of splinters, and Commander Voss ducked through the opening, his burning gaze sweeping the room until it fixed on Nyx. Weapon designation Nyx 7. His voice was like grinding stone, speaking in there. Native tone. "You have failed to report. You have failed to complete your mission. Explain." Luna, who had been playing with her rocks in the corner, looked up at the terrifying alien with wide eyes. But instead of screaming, she moved closer to Nyx, her small hand slipping into the bioweapon's larger one. "You're really tall," Luna said, her voice brave despite the tremor. "Are you Nyx's friend?" Voss stared at the small human, his head tilting in confusion. "This creature shows no fear. Have you used some form of mind control, NYX7? "Her name is Nyx," Luna said firmly, stepping in front of her alien protector. "And she's nice. She helped me find a perfect skipping stone yesterday." "Luna, get behind." "Me," Marcus said quietly, moving to shield his granddaughter while keeping his eyes on the towering alien. Voss ignored the humans, his attention focused entirely on Nyx. "Your bio readings indicate massive system failures. Your toxin production is at 0. Your pathogen dispersal mechanism has been completely disabled." His voice grew dangerous. "You have been contaminated by prolonged exposure to human emotional resonance." "I have been educated," Nyx said, finding her voice. She stepped forward, placing herself between Voss and the humans. "Everything we were told about them is wrong. They're not monsters, Voss. They're capable of incredible kindness." "They are a plague species," Voss snarled, raising one of his weapons, "and you have become infected with their weakness. Step aside, Nyx 7. I will complete your mission and then dispose of you as a failed experiment." No, the word came out stronger than Nyx had intended. Her systems, broken and malfunctioning, as they were, suddenly surged with power she'd never felt before. I won't let you hurt them. Voss's eyes widened slightly. You would defend the target species? You would betray your creators for these primitives? Luna tugged on Nix's hand. What's he saying? Why is he being mean? Nix looked down at the child, this brave, innocent soul who had shown her what love looked like, and felt the last of her weapon programming shatter completely. He's leaving, Nix said firmly, then switched to her native tongue. Commander, I invoke the right of conscious objection. I will not complete this mission. These beings are not what we believe them to be. There is no right of conscious objection. For weapons, Voss replied coldly. You are malfunctioning equipment. You will be recycled. He raised his weapon toward Marcus, but Nix moved faster than thought itself. Her enhanced speed, no longer constrained by combat protocols, allowed her to tackle Voss before he could fire. They crashed through the cabin wall in a tangle of limbs and fury. Take Luna to the truck, Nix shouted to Marcus as she grappled with the larger alien. Get as far away as you can. But Luna broke free from her grandfather's grip and ran to where the two aliens fought. Stop it. Stop hurting each other. The pure anguish in the child's voice made both aliens pause. Nix looked at Luna's tear-streaked face and felt something she'd never experienced, the need to choose between her old life and her new one. She chose love. Rising to her feet, Nix faced Voss with new determination. I am no longer your weapon. I am their protector. And if you want to hurt them, you'll have to go through me. Voss studied her for a long moment, his burning eyes unreadable. Then, slowly, he lowered his weapon. You are no longer Veltar, he said quietly. You are something else entirely. Yes, Nix replied, pulling Luna close to her side. I am. Dr. Tessa Reeves had imagined first contact in a dozen different ways throughout her career as a xenobiologist, but none of her scenarios had involved sitting in a forest ranger's cabin, sharing coffee with two aliens while an 8-year-old girl braided one of their hair. It had taken Marcus 3 days to convince anyone to believe his story, and another 2 for the right people to arrive. Not the military, thankfully, but scientists from SETI and the UN's newly formed Xenological Contact Committee. Tessa had been the first to respond, driving through the night from the University of Washington with a van full of equipment and a heart full of hope. So your people sent you to destroy us because they believed we were irredeemably violent, Tessa said, reviewing her notes as she watched Nix patiently hold still while Luna worked on her braid. But they based this assessment on observation alone, without any actual contact. Nix nodded, her silver eyes meeting Tessa's. Our scientists studied your cities, your wars, your environmental destruction. They concluded that humans were a cancer that would eventually spread beyond Earth and threaten other worlds. To be fair, Marcus said from his position by the window, where he was keeping watch for more alien visitors, we haven't exactly been model galactic citizens. We've done a lot of damage to our own planet. But you're also capable of change, Nix said softly, her hand stroking Luna's curly hair. You create beauty. You protect those weaker than yourselves. You love unconditionally. My people never saw that because they never got close enough to see your hearts. Commander Voss, who had remained silent in the corner for most of the interview, finally spoke. The weapon speaks truth. My observations over the past Earth week have shown behavioral patterns inconsistent with our intelligence reports. Tessa looked at the towering alien warrior. You've been watching us? I have been learning, Voss corrected. The small human called Luna offered me food despite my threatening appearance. The elder human Marcus shared stories of his healing work without prompting. You, Dr. Reeves, came here with curiosity rather than weapons, despite knowing we could be dangerous. And what conclusions have you drawn? Tessa asked. Voss was quiet for a long moment. That perhaps weapons are not the answer to the human question. Perhaps ... communication is. Luna looked up from her braiding project. Are you going to tell? Your people that we're nice? That we want to be friends? Nix and Voss exchanged a look, the first moment of understanding Tessa had seen between them. The council will be difficult to convince, Voss said finally. They have spent decades preparing for humanity's containment. Then we'll have to show them what I learned, Nix replied. Not through data or surveillance, but through direct contact. Through friendship. Over the following weeks, Tessa's cabin became an unlikely embassy. More Veltar arrived scientists, diplomats, even some of the council members themselves. Each one was greeted by Luna's irrepressible enthusiasm, Marcus's steady kindness, and Nix's patient translation between worlds. Not all the meetings went smoothly. Some of the Veltar remained convinced that humans were too dangerous for contact. Some humans, when word began to leak, demanded military action against the alien visitors. But slowly, gradually, understanding began to grow. 6 months later, Tessa stood before the United Nations General Assembly with Nix at her side, preparing to announce humanity's first interstellar alliance. The bioweapon who had been sent to destroy Earth had instead become its greatest advocate among the stars. Change, Nix said in her closing remarks, her English now perfect, but still touched with that musical quality that marked her as otherworldly, is the most human trait of all. My people feared you because they thought you were static locked into patterns of violence and destruction. But humans grow, learn, evolve. You make mistakes, yes, but you also make amends. You build bridges where others see only walls. She paused, looking out at the assembled delegates, many of whom were still struggling to accept the reality of her existence. I was created to be your ending, she continued. But through the kindness of a healer, the innocence of a child, and the courage of a scientist who chose curiosity over fear, I became something else. I became proof that two species, no matter how different, can find common ground in compassion. In the audience, Luna Webb, now 9, and the unofficial junior ambassador to the Veltar clapped enthusiastically. Beside her, Marcus wiped his eyes, still amazed at how his quiet mountain life had become the bridge between worlds. As the assembly erupted in unprecedented applause, Nix felt the final echoes of her weapon programming fade away completely. She was no longer NYX-7, bioengineered, destroyer of civilizations. She was simply Nix, friend to humanity, guardian of peace, and living proof that love could change even the most hardened heart. The war that might have been was over before it began. The friendship that would reshape the galaxy had just begun.